Yeah. Testing.
Guys, thank you. This was the most memorable screening, so thanks everyone for coming out. And to see a film called Bad Shabbos on Motzei Shabbos, I mean, what better split could you possibly have, right?
I think before we start, this is Daniel Robbins, everyone. Who doesn't know? He's a director, co-writer, and thank you so much for your film. This is, I feel like watching with all of you, it feels like a whole new film. Like, I loved it the first time when I was watching it on my computer, but seeing with a packed house of 800 people, that's gotta be like a dream for you.
And I have to say, this was the first time we got a Shalom Aleichem laugh. Usually that just continues on, but this crowd had quite the reaction.
So that's actually an interesting place to start, because so you won the audience award at Tribeca, which is not a Jewish film festival. You know, there's a lot of kind of inside baseball stuff here. But how have you been taking those reactions from, you know, Jewish and non-Jewish audiences?
Well, the goal was that this movie plays for everyone, and that it's like my big fat Greek wedding. But when we sent the script out to producers, me and Adam, everyone said no, it's too specific, it won't work. But we believed that it would. And then when we showed it in New York, we went through 10 test screenings before that, and we made sure we had a lot of non-Jews in the test screenings too. And it just went great. I mean, Method Man is funny to anyone.
Yeah.
And he's so charming. And one funny anecdote is, after one screening, I asked the Jewish side of the audience, what did you think? Was there a part you were bored or confused? And they said, no, it was amazing, but I don't know, the Devar Torah, I don't know if you should keep that in the movie. It's a little, you know, who wants a Devar Torah? And then the non-Jewish audience came out and said, oh, I love that Bible parable. It was so fascinating. I said, oh yeah, I think because of, you know, your time in shul, when you hear Devar Torah, you just pass out instinctively. But for the non-Jews, it was exciting.
I mean, we're gonna go off from Method Man, and I think that the entire cast that you assembled is as perfect as casting gets. And what was that process like? Were there other people that you thought of initially, or was like every single person that we see on screen your first choice?
Yeah, I should also say that every Jewish character is played by a Jewish actor in the film, which is rare. It wasn't completely intentional, it just ended up that way. When you look for the best person, it usually lines up. We had this cast in mind of who we wanted to be in it, but we thought everyone would say no, because I've just made low-budget horror films before this, and Adam made a good film, so maybe that helped. But the agents read the script, and then they gave it to Kira, to Method Man, to David Paymer, and you know, they're artists who love to act, and everyone came together. We got John Bass, Megan Leathers, Theo Tablets, who plays the kid. He's a student in Columbia. And fun fact about him, he actually still had to be enrolled in school while we were shooting. So we would sometimes shoot his part of the scene, and then he would leave and go off to class, because Columbia's strict about everything except protests.
I'm no commenting on that one, but power to you. But going back again, we're killing it with the segues here, because you mentioned that you'd done horror work previously, and so you've done 2 horror films. I know you had a documentary that came out this year as well, but in terms of fiction features, you've done, your previous work is in horror, and I think the translation of horror to comedy is always very seamless. Like, you have like Evil Deads and what have you, but like, what were some of the lessons from working in horror films that you took to working on Bad Shabbos?
It's a good question. The main thing is it's so much of building tension and then release. Like, that's in horror and comedy. In the horror, someone sneaks up and then attacks. In a comedy, you build up a punchline and then have the punchline. But comedy is much tougher, because for a horror film, as long as you get the timing right, it'll work. Like, someone sneaks up and hits them and it's scary. But for a comedy, the punchline has to be said in the most specific, perfect way. If an actor's 2 inches too tall, or they come off a little fake, it won't work. So it took a lot more effort and an A+ cast. Like, if one cast member wasn't A+, it would all probably dissolve. So we got lucky.
I think just another testament to how amazing the cast is just, I imagine, as being a co-writer.
Also, what did everyone think of Megan Leathers, the non-Jewish girl? Because her parents are in the back of the audience right there. And this is their
all the way in the back.
It's their first time seeing the movie. Spread the word.
I mean, look, to her credit and everyone else's credit, I mean, being one of the co-writers, and you work with Zach Wiener, and like, yeah, woo! We got Zach Wiener fans here, awesome.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, they follow you around.
But the Bowmans, okay.
What does that feel like, being a writer and seeing just that, as you said, like your A+ cast, just delivering every line that you guys have written just as perfectly as possible? That's got to be like so validating, right?
It's nice because it looks easy when you watch it, but it's really a lot of effort. Like, the script went through, I think, 40 different revisions to get as tight as possible, and my sisters read it, my brother-in-laws read it, my family reads it. I had like 30 people read the script, and everyone gives notes that gradually refines it. And then at one point I thought, okay, the script is done, let's shoot. And then Adam, the producer, said, I feel like we need a chutzpah joke. Like, I said, there's no room, like, it's so stuffed. He said, I feel like we need a chutzpah joke. So then we spent all night, and then came up with this idea of we'll plant it early, then he'll say it at the end. And I said, okay, now it's done. Now it said, I think it's done.
Props to Adam.
Yeah,
great guy.
incredible producer.
I'm gonna turn it over to you all now, because I think we have a lot of people here with probably a lot of questions. So feel free, raise your hand. Also, everyone in the balcony, you can raise your hand too.
And if we don't get to something, I'm going to be at Lair House tomorrow.
Yes, that 5 to 6.
I got to see this place. I've heard about it for months from my sister. So I'm very excited.
So yeah, we might not get to everybody, but there is a Lair House class. You're a professor now. So
yeah. You know, I don't know about the quality of the class, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, you, right over there.
Can you stand up?
I'll repeat it. He loves the characters, and he identifies as Jewish.
Where did you get your inspiration for some of these characters?
The inspiration for the characters, they came from my family and Zach's family. And for those of us who know us, they'll know what's from what. Like, for example, the father, he starts his Kiddush going, oh, Yom HaShishi. It's something my dad does every Kiddush, and it's infuriating for most people. And David Paymer, I remember on the day, he said, do I really have to do this? Oh. And I said, well, my dad does it. He says, okay, we'll do it.
Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm just wondering if this is based on any real Shabbos experience you've ever had?
Based on a real Shabbos experience. I'm legally not allowed to disclose. But the idea originated from Zach Wiener's family, as the Bowmans know. They hold really crazy Shabbat dinners in the city, and his mom usually pranks someone. So one time, someone's fiance came over, and instead of serving regular plates, she served like little teacups of soup and really tiny spoons, and we went through the whole half the dinner like this. And then Adam, the producer, said, what if you had a Shabbos dinner, but the prank ended in someone dying? And they told me that idea, and I said, that could be really special because we haven't really seen modern Orthodox Judaism portrayed authentically. If we can get that energy right with that tension of a dead body, it could be a movie that I would really want to see. And then a lot of friends helped out. Like, for example, we also got a good laugh on the Gemara joke. So we have a lot of Beis Medrash people in the crowd, where my friend Joey Heller read the script because I saw him over Sukkot. And he said it was really funny in that there's a dead body, and obviously you should know in the Gemara it says you can't move the dead body unless you have an infant or a loaf of bread. I said, that can't be true. He said, Masechah Shabbos, look it up. And I said, okay. And we looked it up, and it was true, and we couldn't not put it in the film. So now, if you saw the credits, he's in there as a Gemara consultant. And I think he's the only Gemara consultant on IMDb. And we're very proud of this. And his parents are beyond.
It was wonderful. what wound up on the cutting room floor that we should all know about?
What ended up on the cutting room floor?
Good question. So it's all so tight that almost everything is in there. The only thing we cut was them passing around the little cups of grape juice because there was a little too much busyness. And we also cut an On Till Yet Dying, where we had this intense thing of Meg and David looking at each other like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? But there was enough tension and it just slowed things down too much. I think it was one prayer too many.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just wondering, who did get the financing?
Who did we get the financing from? A number of Jews. Adam, the producer, he raised half the money privately, and then the rest came from UTA, the talent agency that sold the film. They connected him to some investors who connected to the script. But a lot of people said no because they thought it's too specific, comedies don't really work anymore. But we believe that if we made something in the vein of Meet the Parents and My Big Fat Greek Wedding that has real heart and a tight script and great performances, that people would enjoy it. They still said no, but we kept believing it, and eventually we made it.
Did they have a distributor?
Our distributor is Magelssen Films, and they distribute a lot of prestige films and Jewish films. We fall into the latter category, but we're really excited because they're really geniuses at distribution, and they're putting the film theatrically in Florida starting in December 8th in Boca.
Tell your friends.
And other people said, oh, we'll just put it on a streamer, Hulu or Netflix, but Magelssen committed to doing a long theatrical because it's so fun, seeing it with people.
All the way into that. Shelley.
Hi, Shelley.
So, going back earlier to the conversation that was had about horror to comedy, I feel like so much of Jewish stories vibe to the comedy and horror, and vice versa. Do you feel like the space in between those two genres is kind of like the sweet spot for Jewish films?
So it's about how Jewish films are somewhere between horror and comedy, and do I find that overlap? And I do. Often in relationships, there's a potential sequel might be about my grandmother, and there's a lot of horror and comedy in our relationships with her. You can hear my family laughing. And I think if you're going to make something authentic, it's probably going to toe the line between both, where if you just commit to one, it'll seem fake, and if you go another direction, it falls apart a little bit.
All the way back.
Yes.
Is there any improvisation on the set?
Any improvisation? Yes. So we didn't want to do too much improv where the scenes get long, but within characters' lines, they were able to change the lines. And then certain people did that more than others. Like Milana Weintraub, if you notice from AT&T commercials, for those of you who are fans, she's one of the best improvers in the world. So she came up with lines for herself and other people. And then also you have John Bass and Method Man. He writes lyrics for the Wu-Tang Clan. So he always has new lines in his head that he's trying. And then on set, people chime in and try to improve things. Like for example, when Method Man shows up to the Shabbat dinner in the script, he showed up and he said, "Am I late?" And we did that 2 or 3 times, and I said, it's kind of good, but there might be something better. And then Adam turned to me and he said, he should say Good Shabbos. I said, oh, of course. So then he walked in and said, Good Shabbos, everyone. And then the whole room laughed, and we said, that's probably what we should use. Yes.
So, one of the things I noticed is how well timed the whole movie was, how the rhythm of the thing was just flawless. And I wonder how much you feel of that in the script, how much ends up in the editing, and how much you have to change your sensibility from horror to comedy to do that.
It was a compliment about the pace of the film and how we did that. And a lot of it was in the script, but most of the credit goes to our editor, Kate Plum, who we were really obsessive about getting the timing right. And at certain points, we would cut frames out. If you cut every 3rd frame, an audience won't notice. So if we needed something to go a little quicker, we'd lose some frames. If we needed it to be a little longer, we'd double some. So we really did. And if you have 4 people in a row, but the camera's not moving, you can cut the frame and have this character say his line a little earlier and just stitch them together. So there's a lot of work to get it exact. And she did an amazing job through all the test screening. So Kate Plum, to look out for. And she's not Jewish, which is really important because, we want this to play for everyone.
Anyone else? Oh, questions over there? Yeah.
I know you. Oh, good. Okay. So, is there? And this was really beautifully done, and I felt like it wasn't kitschy or offensive to Jews. Is there a tension in making a movie like this, where it's a comedy, where we're sort of laughing at ourselves, but also not trying to give like fodder to people who are bought into stereotypes about Jews?
Yes, that's a good question. That making a Jewish comedy, especially in today's climate, post October 7th, it's extremely tense, and it seems like we're walking a minefield, and we are. But the goal of this project to get it right was that we believed the way to change people's minds isn't to lecture and say, oh, Jews didn't actually eat the blood of babies, or no, we don't actually run the media, but we thought if we can just show a very authentic portrayal of what these families are like, that people would hang out with them for 90 minutes and see their own family in them and love them, and hopefully that would dissipate any negative feelings that we have. So we thought as long as we get the authenticity right, it should work. And there might have been a line or two we had to change down the road that I can tell you after, but I don't think I should repeat it right here.
Talked about the composer earlier doing it on the computer and then going back and getting to the point. Did Method Man help at all with the composition?
Good question. Did Method Man help with the composition? He did not. The composition was all Eli Kessler, just doing the whole thing and then recording every instrument and putting it together, which was insane. We did want to maybe do a song with Method Man called Bad Shabbos for the end credits, but we thought it would be just a little too goofy, and expensive. But that's the main reason we didn't do it, but it's still possible.
Oh, we have someone up there.
What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene. It's probably the dinner scene when Method Man shows up, because it was so hard to get every angle of that scene and get the lines right. And a couple days before, all of these actors who are very legitimate and usually have good setups, we got together in the basement of a church around a table just to get all the lines right, to make sure we were good on the day, and then they all just over-delivered and made it the funniest scene of the movie. So, William Wyler is a really old director. He said that 90% of your film is your script and your cast, and I think that's especially true with this one. So we're very grateful that you lent us your daughter and the rest of the cast who were in it.
Oh, in the back there?
So it's going to be screening, and that's exciting here. How else can people see it if they're not going to be able to go to that movie theater? If you want to share it with someone else in the future, how will we get to see it again?
It's almost impossible to see. I think this is the last screening in the Northeast. It's going to be opening in Boca December 8th. So you can fly there, visit your grandparents while you visit, and enjoy it. But other than that, it'll come back to the Northeast probably early 2025. Oh, I actually have sign-up sheets. If you give me your email, I'll update you. I'm going to go hand those around while you get the next question.
Okay. I was going to say, okay, get to work, okay. I was going to say, if you sign up for the Boston Jewish Film newsletter, we always notify people. I feel like you shouldn't be doing that. Hardworking filmmaker right there, come on. If you sign up for the Boston Jewish Film newsletter, we always let folks know when films that have played in the festival are opening theatrically or going to be on streaming. So I recommend that as well. Sign up for all the newsletters. The more the merrier.
I totally didn't have to do that.
No, I think it's a more the merrier situation. I think it's good. Yeah, you want the numbers for sure. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Over there.
What surprised you about this whole process?
What surprised me about the whole process? The biggest surprise was we shot in a real apartment on the 16th floor, which, as a director, you said, oh, I want it to be authentic, we have to shoot in a real place, I don't want to build a studio. And then we showed up, and I realized why people build a studio. Because every single actor and every single prop had to be brought in through one elevator every day. which was rough. And then once we're in the space, it is so small, because even though it's a big New York City apartment, that's still a small apartment in real life. So it was really tight quarters and a challenge. But obstacles are opportunities. I think it brought everyone a little closer, and that stress might have added to the finished product. So it worked out.
Great. I think we have time for 2 more questions. That's what I'm getting to. Okay. Oh, over here?
And
Okay.
then afterwards, if you want to email me, it's Dan Robbins. My name's Daniel Robbins, so danrobbins211@gmail. And I'll answer pretty much anything.
Yeah. And again, there's the Lair House class.
Oh,
You are
yes.
teaching tomorrow at 5 p.m. at Lair House.
Shout out Lair House.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Your question.
Oh, a backstory to the cat.
And did you find it difficult to cast the cat?
Yes, casting a cat is a really difficult thing, and we were between 2 cats, and we landed on this one because they said this cat is so well trained. It worked with Peter Dinklage. We said, oh, okay, Tyrion Lannister, this is going to be a good cat. The cat shows up, it gets better treatment than any actor. It has a handler and a PETA representative who's pampering the cat and making sure it's being treated well, which is nice. And then you learn on set that there's no such thing as a trained cat. The cat didn't listen to a single thing that the owner said, and the only way the cat moved is if you gave it treats, and it would just go to where the treat was. So we had Kira Sedgwick hanging around being, why are we spending all of this time on a cat? But she was really kind about it in the end, with her scene partner.
Did the cat get a credit?
The cat got a credit. I think his name is Frank the Cat because that's Zach's family's cat name.
Wow. I guess our last question is all the way in the back there.
I'm hoping this becomes sort of a cult thing, like, the Jewish Rocky Horror Picture Show that you see.
He hopes it becomes a Jewish Rocky Horror Picture Show.
But 10 years from now, there's a line that you included that's very timely, and I'm wondering what 10 years from now they'll remember about Jewish space lasers.
Oh, so he's saying in 10 years when people watch this, what will they think when they hear about Jewish space lasers? I wish anti-Semitism just faded after 10 years, but I'm sure there will be something just as crazy then, and they'll all still relate to it. And if they want to, check the tape, they can come back and see our favorite space laser joke. Well, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you,
And we'll hang out after.
All right. Thank you all for coming. There are still more screenings to come. We have screenings at the MFA tomorrow at 11:30 and 2:30. Then we have virtual selections from the 18th to 20th. And again, Professor Robbins will be at Lair House tomorrow at 5.
And a special shout out to the Boston Jewish Film Festival. I've been to a few, and they put on an unbelievable program here, so everyone should be very grateful.
Thank you.
And it takes a lot of work.
Have you got some stuff?